Welcome back to our Marvel studies on the road to infinity, where we're talking now about our top 5 MCU films. Are you ready to wrap this up, Alex?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I am.
So, do you want to start us off with number 5?
Well, I feel like we did leave off with me providing number 6. So in this snake format we've been doing, I believe it did find its way potentially coming back to, or did you mention Thor Ragnarok last?
I did.
I think then it's your turn to reveal your number 5 selection.
I will do so. Number 5 for me is Doctor Strange.
Ah, yes, I remember.
I've always loved Doctor Strange and been like fascinated by him in the comics, even though there aren't a ton of comics about him. There's just something about him that's fascinating, and yeah, I don't know. And I love Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal because he's snarky and sarcastic and arrogant, but also, he's that way for a reason because he's really good at what he does. And now he's a really good Sorcerer Supreme. I loved the visual, kaleidoscopic effects of the film. I cannot wait to see that in play with the other power sets. So it's a very remarkable, unique film. I love the ending. It's not a battle. It's him outthinking the bad guy, Dormammu. So great movie, great character development, top 5 film for me.
Yes, certainly. We did enjoy watching. His name. You mentioned it. Hang on, it'll come to me. It's yes, Benadryl Cucumber Snitch. That's right.
Bulbasaur Charmander Pants.
Burlington Coat Factory. Yes, I think that was it. And then
Blueberry.
Very various names of
Pumpkin Patch.
Yes, Benevolent Cucumber Snatch, Butternut Pumpkin Patch, Benefiva Cumin Snatch. We're getting a lot of snatches in there. This is getting a little rough now. But yes, I agree. And even though you have placed this, looking back on your top shelf, I placed this on my second shelf. And unfortunately, it would have been like number 11 on my list. There were parts of it that rubbed me the wrong way with Doctor Strange and his arrogance, and kind of his like, woe is me, forever aloneness, and turning a beautiful man like Benedict Cumberbatch into looking like a schlub and a homeless vagrant is not exactly what I call kind to the man. But it was certainly a stark visual from what we were used to seeing of a clean, polished Benedict Cumberbatch. So I can understand where it comes in at number 5. Visually stunning. I agree. And I understand where it ranks highly with you, and I respect that.
Well, thank you.
But my number 5 is one that is at the very bottom of your list, and that is Iron Man 3. I think the rewatchability from that comes from Sir Ben Kingsley kind of initially posing as a dummy figurehead terrorist, the Manchurian. And that's what we're led to believe through the trailers, through the early parts of the film itself, that Sir Ben Kingsley is your villain. No, not Mahatma Gandhi. Don't ever make Mahatma Gandhi the villain. How could you do this, Marvel? No, no, no. But it wasn't. It was Guy Pearce all along.
Nerd update. It's not the Manchurian. It's the Mandarin.
Oh, aren't they like neighbors?
Before the people yell at us,
Oh.
I had to get that out there.
So it was the Mandarin.
It's interesting the Mandarin.
Oh, like the orange.
And the Mandarin was yes, sure.
Oh,
The Mandarin was like a Chinese villain who had like spiritual powers. It's supposed to be like tech versus spiritual in the Marvel universe, but they didn't go that direction. And I love your pick here, and I love your reason for picking it. You know why?
Yeah.
Your love of Ben Kingsley is the reason people hate this film. That switch and bait thing.
I love that.
You know,
part.
'cause
that to me was one of
I know
my
you
favorite
do.
bits of the whole thing. I'm like, haha, they got me, they fooled me. But kind of going towards the finale of the film, where the Iron Man army comes out in full force to fight the lava people.
Lava people.
Lava people. That was certainly the highlight and that was a perfect ending to the Iron Man solo storyline that we traveled down for the last few weeks. Last few years. It felt like weeks, but it was truly years.
It did wrap up his arc as a character, although then his arc recontinued. You know, it continued on, but
Right.
yeah, I can't fault you for putting it at number 5. I mean, my whole top 10 is probably going to change week by week.
Right,
in my
and
head.
at this very moment, as we've been discussing the movies, certainly a lot of our discussions of the movies lead us to wanting to rank these films as they are right now. But
Yeah.
we will see film 19 here in just a matter of days, and this could all just change on its head. This will just be for naught.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just be for giggles and grins. But
It's just fun. Yeah.
for now, this fun leads us to number 4 on my list. And number 4 on my list is another entry, but the end of another arc for another character. And it's interesting. I have all 3 arc-ending movies on my top 10 list. Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man 3, and now Captain America Civil War.
Very nice.
I think the sort of all-star Royal Rumble melee at the airport that is Team Cap versus Team Iron Man was certainly something that continues to stick out in our minds and still divides friendships and households, whether you're Team Cap or Team Iron Man. Not because of the message behind them, but because of the which heroes do you like better just on its simple face sort of discussion.
The 5-year-old analysis. Yes.
Yes, the shoe size analysis, I call it. So, but yeah, Captain America: Civil War was, for me, certainly a wonderfully rewatchable film because it takes a lot of the characters and brings them back and introduces new ones for us, and gives us hope that the next few films in phase number 3 are going to be as good as this. So for me, Captain America: Civil War firmly places itself in the top 4 at number 4.
Very nice. Well,
What say you?
My number 4 is The Avengers.
Wow. Okay.
I
Defend
know,
yourself.
it should be. It's a great movie, but you watch it now and it's aged a little bit. It's a different type of movie than the Marvel Cinematic movies have become. It's a little cornier, a little brighter, and there's nothing wrong with that. But rewatchability for me, it's not as rewatchable. I don't know. I love it, but there's a lot of mass destruction, you know, that kind of thing that was going around in all the movies at the time. So I don't know, but it has to be on a top 10 list because it is that cornerstone moment that made this whole series a thing. When the camera's spinning around the team as they first assemble in New York, you're like, and the theme's just blaring, da, 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 da. Yeah. Thank goodness they're bringing back Alan Silvestri to do the score for Infinity War.
And not me.
He's gonna bring that theme back in. That's great. Yes. Or more me. Avengers. It's a great movie. I don't rewatch it as much as my top 3, but it's a great movie.
I understand. So we've now come to the point where, in Olympic fashion, we started talking about golds and silvers and bronzes because that was going on when we first started doing this, and now we're like, wait, there was even an Olympics. So, what has earned the bronze medal of Marvel Cinematic Films for you?
Gosh, when you label it a bronze medal, it doesn't sound as good.
I know.
But my number 3 is Black Panther.
Oh, interesting.
This is hard. This could easily be 2
Oh, I know.
or 3. My top 2 and 3 are interchangeable, really.
Wow. Okay.
But number 2, Black Panther, the score is one of the best scores I've ever heard in my life, including all Star Trek scores, which I'm a big geek on. And everyone should go
That
listen
is
to
high
it.
praise from someone who aligns himself with the most famous Vulcan in all the world, Spock.
Yeah, so
That's high praise.
the score is great. The characters are great. There's so many well-developed characters in the film. It's
Right.
remarkable for a superhero movie. It stands on its own outside of the Marvel Universe, but I think as we see in the trailers for Infinity War, it severely sets up a lot of the Infinity War because a lot of the battles are going to happen in Wakanda, it looks like.
Makes sense.
So, number 3 for me, I don't know if it's rewatchable. I've seen it once. So I can't wait to own it and watch it and watch it and watch it. There's a lot to be said about all these films, but we don't want to have you guys here for 3 hours. So we got to restrain ourselves, but
right.
great film.
Want to know what helps the viewers out in that regard? The fact that we both have Black Panther at number 3.
Very nice.
So the thing that sets Black Panther apart for me, though, is the way this particular film was from start to finish a film that was like imaginative. Like Ryan Coogler in the director's seat, in the driver's seat, in this sense, did a wonderful job of I wouldn't even go as far as saying airing the frustrations of an entire set of peoples, but certainly taking the powers and the things that shine from an entire sets of people and allowed it to shine as bright as a diamond or as bright as vibranium, whichever you want to sort of think of it.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Yes. So that was a very, very good entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, as a standalone film, outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or outside of the road to the Infinity War, it is a wonderful origin story film. But the fact that it brings so many great actors and actresses together to allow that story to shine was certainly very, very cool. And again, the imagination behind the technology that they came up with, to me, was just like, I want that.
The holographic sand stuff is really cool.
Oh my goodness. Like, I want a necklace that allows me to just have a super suit. Can I have one of those? That would be fine.
Or just a necklace that makes clothes. So you never have to get dressed anymore. You just put it on, you're done.
Yes, a necklace that makes clothes would work just fine too. Can we have that? That would be great.
You don't have to wash it. You don't have to fold it. You don't have to iron it. You just it's on.
It's machine washable. Yes. I'll even accept that. But no, in all truth, this is a really, really awesome film, as you mentioned. Great characters, great artistry throughout. So Marvel was very, very, very lucky to have this come in and build the hype that is going to be what comes through next Friday. So we are excited for that.
I think that this is imaginative. I like that term because it takes disparate pieces that don't usually go together and put them together. For example, in the score, if you listen to it, there's classic hip-hop beats mixed with classical theatrical score, and then this African talking drums and stuff like that. And the whole film is like a mesh of all these different things. This really cool colonialism and slave ships, all sorts of stuff, the hood. So I really love all the pieces and how Ryan Coogler imaginatively puts them together. Also with like the ancient African cultures with the futurism.
Yes.
That's the mind-blowing stuff.
Let's pause for 10 seconds for station identification on the Completing the Shelf radio network. Once again, this episode brought to you by the Hercules Hold 'em In Cement Dress for Men.
So, Alex, give me your number 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is my number 2 film inside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These two films that I have at 1 and 2 got me to the point where I am now, wanting to go further and further and learn more and more about the Marvel Universe. Not cinematic, the Marvel Universe as a whole. And Guardians of the Galaxy unearthed characters, Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, Rocket, Groot, Yondu, Thanos, the whole story, and even Nebula, the entire Nova Corps. This film, along with, at that point, a soundtrack that stood apart from every film I had seen to that point, and got me. And this was right in this ballpark of time when, as you mentioned, movie soundtracks play a huge role, and movie scores play a huge role into how much I want to see a film. And when I saw what this film was going to be compiled upon, I was extremely excited, because it took the retro vibes of the 70s and 80s rock and roll, mixed them with current modern science fiction in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in my brain, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. Not having any idea that this is going to go into the canon of the Road to the Infinity War. So the fact that it does all that, along with being just visually dazzling and wonderful and something we've never seen before, stands at number 2 for me. And this was very hard not putting it at number 1, but I have a very good reason for putting my number 1 film where it is. Guardians of the Galaxy is a very, very close runner-up, and first runner-up in this contest of top 10 films.
Yeah, Guardians is at number 11 for me. And it's like, I love the film, but I love it there. I don't need to go back to it too much. I have nothing else to say. Everything you said, 100%, I echo it. It just didn't make my top 10, which it hurts me not to put it in there. I just need more spots in my top 10.
I don't know who you are, Anakin. You're breaking my heart. I don't know if I can love you anymore. Sorry, I'm not quoting episode 3. I'm going to continue moving forward.
I hate sand. It gets everywhere. We were brothers.
I loved you, Anakin. You were my brother. There's a story behind that.
Oh my.
I saw a video of dubbed over that final scene where Obi-Wan is unfortunately sad that he just chopped up all the limbs of his friend and brother and protege. But they took it from the dubbing of a Google Translate from Japanese to English, but it is a Japanese voice saying the English. So you hear this broken English, and
I need to see this.
Wonderful in the sense that it's like overly pronounced. And all you start out with is just this robotic Japanese voice just going, ah, when Anakin's getting burned alive. But yes, we're getting completely out of course. But
well, we're going to go off course again. So you may not know this, but there's a podcast I listen to, and they listen to our show, I think. It's the Banter Bros cast. They talk comics.
Oh, they're so nice.
They are frequent Twitter exchanges. Awesome guys. But I think in October, they were talking about that moment where Anakin flops down without any limbs. And they're like dying laughing, describing that flopping as he's like a can of Spam. They called him Spamikin. And Kyle, he calls me out and says, Shelf Nerds, we needed to make an animation of this. And, I went right out and like painted a thing and drew it up and everything. I just haven't done the work on the computer because I don't know what I'm doing really. But guys, if you're listening, it's coming. But I think I gotta dub this Japanese dub over top this new image I'm gonna make of Spamikin. That's gonna be perfect. So thank you. You're adding to it, Alex.
It's a 2-minute clip starting from where Obi-Wan has the high ground and of course pretty much just lops off his legs. But spoiler alert, that's how he ends up becoming Darth Vader. Yep. We just did that. Sorry. Not even sorry. Anyway, number 2 for me is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Number 2 for you is...
Captain America: Civil War.
Wow. Okay. I feel like I know where we're going with this. Please. Why was I remiss by putting it 2 spots lower than you?
Well, you weren't. Anywhere
okay.
in the top 10. It's great.
Oh, okay.
It's a great movie. I know people complain that it's an Avengers movie, not a Captain America movie, but who cares?
Well, wasn't it supposed to be an Avengers movie originally, and then they just
No,
decided to change it?
It was always supposed to be Civil War. Captain America's point of view is the point of view that we're on.
Got it.
And when you have all these characters ensemble, you still have to have the protagonist, the major one, and apparently Thanos is our protagonist or one of the major characters in Infinity War, so that's interesting. But Civil War, what can I say? I love the political debate. I love the action, of course. The introduction of Spider-Man, quickly sweeping aside his origin story. The introduction of Black Panther is fantastic. When you watch that now, after seeing Black Panther, it becomes richer. And I love the connections between Steve and Natasha and Hawkeye, and even Vision and Scarlet Witch is starting to form there. So there's all in an action-packed film. They don't forget the characters, their specific stances. Gotta love Falcon. He gets more action.
Right. Yes.
Underappreciated character. I think he's a great one. So Civil War. I rewatch it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Couple times a year. 4 times a year probably. So I think that makes it a number 2 spot for me.
There you go. Which now leads us to the moment you may or may not have all been waiting for. Our number 1 Marvel Cinematic Universe films. And in the true snake format, Chris, may we have your number 1 film?
Yes. My number 1 Marvel film.
I think I know it.
Is Star Trek Beyond. Is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
That was not a funny joke. No one's laughing, and everyone is dumber for having listened to that. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I feel like I was quoting...
okay. I'll go home then.
I'm sorry. I was just quoting Billy Madison. At least I didn't go with the whole monologue of at no point during your rambling, incoherent response was there anything short of a rational thought, and I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. I wouldn't go that far. No, that would be just rude.
Quite impressive for that little quote there. Good.
It's just a simple no
Winter
would have
Soldier.
sufficed, but okay.
I don't know. I have a visceral reaction to this film. I love it.
It's good.
It's on all the time on TV, like the Harry Potter films. So I just see bits of it all the time.
Say, what
I
channel
love
are you watching it on? I'm not getting that channel.
I forget what channel. FX maybe?
Oh, I thought Lifetime. Oh, okay.
No. That's Captain America: The Winter Scarf or something. The Winter Snuggie.
Got it. Okay.
No, this film, Robert Redford is such a strong lead, and I think this goes with your argument about imagination, and then my piece that I think a lot of these films in Phase 2 and 3 take different genres and mash them with the superhero genre, creating something new, a new experience, like Guardians with sci-fi and the retro. And Thor Ragnarok tried to do that too. It's a lot more sci-fi 80s movie than, kind of the epic of the other Thors. Winter Soldier is a political thriller with some superhero action at the end. But really, some of that superhero action isn't more outlandish than like things that happen in Die Hard 4, So it's just like an action spy thriller, political thriller movie, and I just can't get enough of it. I love Steve Rogers. He's such a solid, like, if I was a little kid, I would be obsessed with him. I don't really get into the Captain America comics. I've read maybe 8 now, and they're fine. They're good, but he's kind of boring. In these films, with Natasha, with Samuel L. Jackson, awesome. Colby Smulders, great.
Robin. You mean Robin, right?
Yeah, I never saw that show, so.
Yes, Robin, of course, from How I Met Your Madre. But that's the weird part, is that she doesn't actually become his mother. It's kind of ironic. Anyway.
Yeah, I heard it's disappointing ending.
So,
but I've never seen the show.
Amongst other disappointing endings, it's probably the ending to our podcast. That's always disappointing because you don't get to hear our voices anymore.
Well, you know what? They can always go back on the playlist.
Yes.
There's 18 other films.
Yes, indeed.
Your number one film. Did you do it? Yes, you did.
I think I did.
No?
No, I will do it now.
Yeah.
But my number one film for me is really the only reason I've been invested, as I kind of mentioned before with Guardians, invested in seeing what this world has become, and what this world can be, this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because up to this point, there really wasn't cohesion or a thought of cohesion when looking at the first few films within the canon. Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and a sequel to Iron Man even. There wasn't a thought in my mind 4 years earlier or to think 4 years in the future, oh man, what if they all came together and just like kicked butt together and like had shawarma at the end? Yep, that's right. Without the Avengers, I would be completely uninterested, I think, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because the Avengers made me sit down and rewatch each and every one of those 5 films. Maybe not the Hulk or Thor as much as 1, 2, and Captain America 1. But for me, the Avengers is my favorite film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because without it, and without the success of it, none of this is possible. I mean, it sounds like outlandish, but truthfully, without that formula not working and being as enjoyable and as entertaining as it was, we would not have this pod to talk about. We would not be as excited as we are to go see this third Avengers film in a week's time. And I don't know if movies as a whole, not just superhero movies, not just action movies, but movies as a whole during a quote-unquote summer blockbuster period would have so much excitement and so much fanfare and following. We haven't seen, or at least I don't think a culture has seen something as powerful as this since the Star Wars films from 30, 40 years ago came out and held the imagination of folks. And Star Wars was a story you didn't have a comic book to look back on and understand and have as your background. It was completely on its own. This is something you've had a canon for in the past, a followable storyline and understanding of what to expect. So with Avengers, it took all those things, it had its storyboard, like we've said, and brought it to life fantastically. So that, for me, was entertaining in and of itself to be like, okay, this is awesome. I want more and more and more. Like it was a buffet of Bravo in my book. So in short, if you could take my ramblings from the last 3 hours, I feel like, and compartmentalize that, it took everything I wanted in superhero movies, put it together, and what have you got? The Avengers #1.
Wonderfully said. Yeah.
So it kind of, think back and I'm like, wait, this was only number 4 for you. Oh no.
My top 5.
Yes, it does make your top 5. But yes, Avengers for me.
I mean, if I did a separate list of my top 10 movies of all time, some of these films are in that.
Oh yeah, no question.
These are shaping generations of kids. You know what I mean? Like, that's how cool, like, that changes how you see these. Because movies are, they're fun, but also they shape you in ways you don't even know. So, and
Right.
Avengers is definitely one of the seminal shaping films for all of us and the kids that are coming up. And if you go back and watch Avengers after Infinity War, I cannot wait to see how the characters and the storytelling itself has changed in this decade.
Right.
Or, 8 years. Just one thing that comes to mind is when Thor throws Loki down on the ground after catching him the first time. He says, "You think me in a gaming mood?" Like the Shakespearean dialogue. He would never say anything like that now, right? He's become so, he has adopted Earth vernacular, right?
Yes, I think he's very much a man of Earth now as his home, because Asgard no longer exists, and he has realized who he really is, and I guess in some sense as a man of many worlds, but ultimately he is being who he wants to be.
Ultimately, though, I think Chris Hemsworth just wants to be funnier.
Yeah, certainly.
Which he was.
I agree. There we go. We've done it, folks. We've given you a top 10 within the Marvel Cinematic Universe of our 10 favorite films. I'm sure proudly displayed on our shelves as something to look back on and remark and be like, well, how did we get here? Where are we going?
It's kind of sad.
I know.
I mean, this was something so distant for us in January when it started. And now I love a good list episode. Now we're done the list.
I know.
Now we need to watch the movie and then do our top 5 moments of the whole franchise.
I know. And so some of you may be less than 24 hours away, maybe a little bit more, from seeing this third Avengers episode in the cinema. And that is, of course, the Avengers Infinity War. Some of you may be waiting till Friday, dutifully, to see this film. But we've now come to a point where we only have really one episode to talk about, and that is the coming Infinity War film. But we still want to hear, as we mentioned, your top 10s, and we have some of those to kind of comb through. As you mentioned, our partners in crime from the Banter Bros podcast, they gave us a list of their favorite films. And I'll allow you to let, if you can give Uncle Moose or Kyle's list of top films. What did he put as his favorites?
Yeah, he ranked all of them.
What?
So
What is he trying to get extra credit? What a show off.
sure, why not? I'll just do them all. At 20 is Thor 2, 19 Ultron.
Whoa,
18, Avengers.
Ultron at 8, at 17. Jeez. Whew. All right, go ahead. It's his list.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not 20. I'm just gonna do his top 10. Okay, so 10 is First Avenger.
Okay.
9 is Guardians. 8 Iron Man. 7 Black Panther. 6 Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
5 Doc Strange.
Okay.
4 Iron Man 3. He's more inclined to your ranking. Right?
A little bit.
3 Civil War.
All right, yeah.
2 Ragnarok.
Interesting.
And number 1 Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Am I missing something here with Winter Soldier?
Yeah, Captain America: Winter Soldier in your top spot. That's what you're missing.
Which now leads us to Anthony, at Anthony Wick from the Banter Bros podcast. He has, I want to make sure I'm reading this right and my eyes aren't going on me, and let me just make sure I'm drinking water. Yep, that's water. Okay, number 10, The Incredible Hulk. It's one man's opinion, ladies and
You know what?
gentlemen.
Let me pause there. That's a good movie.
We put it on our
on this
third
rewatch.
shelf.
But that means good.
That's
average. Third is average, right? It's in the middle.
I mean,
I don't know. It's a good movie. It's not the best movie. It's a good movie.
Superman versus Batman is average. Are you saying that's as good as the Hulk?
That's no. I would say Hulk was artfully shot. It's a different style than the other MCU films, but artfully shot. Go back and look at the shots and the editing. It's really well done.
Anything with Liv Tyler can be artfully shot. That's true.
Okay.
Captain America: First Avenger 9, Spider-Man: Homecoming 8, Original Iron Man 7, Ragnarok 6, Black Panther 5, Guardians number 1 4, Civil War 3. Well, at least he has that as well inside his top 5. Doctor Strange at number 2, and Winter Soldier and more Kool-Aid number 1. I don't know why I can't sip the Kool-Aid on Winter Soldier. That's again, you can look back on our episode about Winter Soldier as to why we did not quite see eye to eye there. But again, we want to see your top 10 lists. Again, at Shelf Nerds, at Alex_Salvo, or at Spock and Solo. Leave them in the comments section below.
Well, we do have one more list to share.
Oh, we do. That's
from Tim,
right.
From our Facebook group.
Tim. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim. You're gonna have to have us. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Tim's.
So Tim, friend from marching band back in high school.
Not a lad.
Obviously a passionate nerd. I love it. I love his feedback. So his number 10 film, Doctor Strange. Number 9, Spider-Man Homecoming. 8, The Avengers. 7, Captain America, Civil War. You're moving the cursor, so I can't read anything.
Oh, sorry.
Number 6, Age of Ultron. Number 5, the original Guardians. 4, Iron Man. 3, Guardians Volume 2. 2, Black Panther. And number 1, Thor Ragnarok.
Wow, that's different. He didn't drink the Winter Soldier Kool-Aid at all. He didn't even put it in his top 10.
Yeah, well, he is a trombone player, so, I'll let him slide.
Oh, man. I thought we'd make it through the whole episode without a dad joke. Nope. I was wrong. I'll have to.
It was worse than a dad joke. It was a marching band nerd joke.
Oh, man.
Anyway. Hey, you know what? Every film in that list is pretty darn good. The only one that I don't have in mind is Ultron and Guardians 1. But, all the films are worthy. They're all good.
Yes. Except for the Dark
I
World.
Well, yeah. That's okay. That's actually ranked 18 out of 18 for me.
Yeah, that's the punching bag movie. That's the redheaded stepchild, I would say, of the 18. I would put that there, and then probably not too far behind for me would have been original Thor, Incredible Hulk. Yeah, again, just forgettable. But
I got 18th Dark World, 17 Ant-Man, 16 Hulk, 15 Iron Man. I don't know
why
2.
you can't like Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is a true American legend.
I like the character. The movie is good to watch it once or twice, 14 First Avenger, 13 Age of Ultron, 12 is Thor, and 11 Guardians.
Volume 1.
So, yeah.
Yes. That's a 9-point swap. My number 2 movie and your number 11. Sheesh. What a stark.
It was so hard to make this list.
It really was. Oh.
I labored for a couple weeks,
Yeah. And
in fact, I had last-minute changes while we were talking about it. So, hard.
I was gonna say
hard list.
If you're looking back on all of our shelving, just kind of in retrospect, you did have more fourth shelves than I did, which I have a little bit more.
I had 2. You had 1.
Yep. I had more third shelves than you did, because of that, and you were a little more balanced in terms of third and fourth shelves. But we were unanimous across the board in our numbers of second and top shelves. They were just differentiated for certain films, of course. But
yeah, we both had 5 top shelves and 9 second shelves, which means this whole franchise rates very well with us.
Correct. I certainly enjoyed some of the earlier movies in the canon a little bit more than you had. But then you enjoyed.
You were evenly spread out.
Yeah, I would say my top shelves were spread out in that regard. I had 1 in the early half or early phase, 2 in the second phase, 2 in the last phase. Because that's what kept me going, was the fact that there was one that stood out of the bunch that I'm like, yeah, I want more. You kind of came on late.
Well, I think just the last half dozen of films were all really, really well done.
They were great.
I think Marvel really
Yeah.
got their act together. If they didn't exist, maybe Avengers in 2012 would be a top shelf
Yeah.
film for me. But
Yeah.
in comparison to everything that's come after, second shelf.
But yeah, certainly a lot of metrics and numbers that we've come up with for this. But it may all change come May when we all get to sink our teeth into the Avengers Infinity War. We're excited to see that with you. We thank you for coming along on this journey with us. This is episode 19, the Marvel Cinematic Universe top 10 films as rated by yours truly and yours truly, Chris Chaplin. I am Alex Salvo. We have thanked you as always for being there with us every step of the way. And we're not going anywhere. We'll continue potting and talking about Marvel films and maybe talk about other things, because there's a lot of other things we can talk about what we enjoy on our shelves and what we like to talk about and what inspires us to talk to you. And if there are things you want us to discuss, you can also let us know on any of these wonderful channels that I mentioned, whether it is here on the YouTubes, whether it is through the Facebook page that you've clicked through, or the Twitter link that you've clicked through. Please let us know your feedback. We are happy to hear it. Tweet at us, as mentioned, at Shelf Nerds, at Alex_Salvo, or at Spock and Solo, which is our sort of argumentative, logical versus passion page, I guess. I guess those logical versus passion arguments that we get into. Would that be a good way of describing Spock and Solo?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? We have a Solo movie coming up, so maybe we'll talk about that.
Ooh, yes we do. And I don't care what people say. I am excited to see it because it involves Chewbacca. And Chewbacca is awesome. And Han's
And apparently
cool too.
very old.
Yeah. I like what this is enticing itself to be. But we thank you once again for joining us here on the Completing the Shelf channel. And we will see you on the road once again to the Infinity War.